In my day, it was considered a good thing to swap ideas with other cultures, with other nations, to share things with other races, to assimilate. It was the opposite of racist. Now it's racist. You know nothing about the real world. Most of you spent less time in school than Greta Thunberg. Out there, well done, Winslet. I told you, do a Holocaust movie, the awards come, didn't I? See? Trouble is with Holocaust films, there's never any gag reel on the DVDs. With comedy as well, I think you've got to deal with taboos and contentious issues, and sometimes you deal in irony, and some people don't get that, but, you know, you can't legislate against stupidity, otherwise you'll be doing nothing, so...
Comedian Ricky Gervais has built his career on sharp wit, fearless humor, and an unwavering commitment to saying exactly what's on his mind. He doesn't cater to political correctness, nor does he hold back when it comes to exposing the absurdity of woke culture. Women. Not all women. I mean the old-fashioned ones. You know, the old-fashioned women. Oh, God. You know, the ones with wombs. Oh. His approach is simple. No topic is off limits. From political correctness to social justice warriors, Gervais challenges the narrative with brutal honesty and a comedic edge that triggers critics and delights his fans. His ability to expose contradictions and double standards in today's culture makes him one of the most polarizing yet respected comedians of our time. And if you thought he was done, think again, because for the next minutes, Gervais is about to dismantle woke culture piece by piece. NBC clearly don't care either, fifth time. So, I mean, Kevin Hart was fired from the Oscars because of some offensive tweets. Hello? Lucky for me, the Hollywood foreign press can barely speak English, and... Gervais has never hidden his disdain for political correctness, seeing it as a barrier to free speech and creativity. In one of his radio interviews in England, he recalled how his name came up in a discussion about offensive humor. One woman immediately attacked him, claiming that he made jokes about fat people, but wouldn't dare make jokes about other groups. Gervais didn't hesitate to call out the absurdity of this argument. He pointed out that humor doesn't operate on a protected class system. If comedians are forced to tread lightly around specific topics, then humor loses its edge entirely. He ridiculed the idea that being overweight was beyond criticism, especially when many lifestyle choices contribute to it. In his signature sarcastic tone, he asked, "Is being fat like being part of a marginalized group?" His ability to flip arguments on their heads is exactly why so many people love or loathe his comedy. There's one thing Gervais loves, it's pushing boundaries. And when it comes to immigration, his humor is no different. He once joked about the idea of adopting a child from a third world country, sarcastically framing it as a win-win situation. According to him, adopting a child would help reduce overpopulation, alleviate poverty, and provide a child with a better life. But as always, Gervais didn't stop there. Well, I am woke now, and I can prove it. Here you go. I love illegal immigrants. Yeah, sue me now. Sometimes I go down to Dover for the day, right? And I look out, right? I look for a boat, and I see a dinghy with about 60 of them, and I go over here like that, right? He took the joke further by imagining how he would raise the child, humorously suggesting that he'd remind the kid daily about how lucky he was compared to his village peers. He even painted a picture of the child's reaction to experiencing simple things like tap water. While this joke sparked outrage among woke circles, Gervais remained unfazed. He made it clear, his comedy isn't meant to be safe, it's meant to be funny. Gervais has repeatedly criticized those who pretend to care about social justice just to boost their own status. In his eyes, these so-called activists don't actually want change. They want attention. And nothing frustrates him more than the idea that minorities are humorless victims who need protection from jokes. People are very worried about that, aren't they? They go, oh, is that racist? Can you say that? Will that be taken the wrong way? Particularly this year, because it's 200 years since the abolition of slavery, so awareness is heightened. But that wasn't the end of racism. It was still inherent in society as late as the 50s and 60s in England and America. And one incident sparked off the civil rights movement. A black woman called Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat to a white person on a bus. It was the law, but she'd had enough, and she was arrested. During one of his stand-up performances, he mocked the notion that people from minority groups are incapable of laughing at themselves. He pointed out how patronizing it is to assume that groups like the LGBTQ community or racial minorities can't handle humor. With his usual sharpness, he compared himself, a white, rich, multimillionaire, to an oppressed figure, sarcastically labeling himself as the Rosa Parks of comedy.
But then that law was changed. But she didn't stop there. She started sitting in those seats meant for disabled people. Unbelievable. Isn't it? She talked to the driver when the bus was in motion. Did she always have the correct change ready? Did she, bollocks?
Mainstream media has often tried to label Gervais as too offensive, but when he appeared on The View, he wasn't about to let them control the narrative. He tackled the topic of offense head-on, explaining that just because someone is offended doesn't mean they are right. Feelings are personal, he argued, and what offends one person might not bother another.
You are politically incorrect and hilarious, of course.
Thank you.
And so,
Thank you.
so this is,
Well,
yeah.
well, that's the thing about offence, isn't it? When people say they're offended, it's that, just because you're offended, it doesn't mean you're right.
He called out the unrealistic expectation that comedians should tiptoe around every possible offense, making it clear that if you try to please everyone, you'll end up pleasing no one. His stance was simple. Comedy should be fearless. Taboo topics should be explored, not avoided. And if some people don't understand irony, that's not his problem.
Offence is about feelings, and feelings are personal. Some people are offended by equality. So what? You know, so you can't second-guess people. If you try and please everyone, you'll please no one. With comedy as well, I think you've got to deal with taboos and contentious issues, and sometimes you deal in irony, and some people don't get that. But, you know, you can't legislate against stupidity, otherwise you'll be doing nothing. So if you're saying anything...
Gervais is a firm believer that free speech is essential in comedy. He refuses to censor himself, arguing that making jokes about dark subjects isn't just acceptable, it's necessary. In his mind, the worst things in life should be the very things we laugh about the most, and anyone trying to police humor is missing the point.
So, I'll give you a big example. So, I tweeted once, I'm your typical liberal, lefty, snowflake, champagne socialist, anti-racist, anti-sexist, anti-homophobic sort of guy. But if I tweet about freedom of speech, I'm suddenly alt-right.
He has no interest in catering to award show elites or Hollywood celebrities who want sanitized entertainment. As he bluntly put it, he's not performing for the people in the room. He's performing for the millions watching at home. And those millions, they appreciate his unapologetic style.
And that's true, because the alt-right have taken that on board for their own aims, and the left they're worried about it because of the adoption of it, and they start trying watering down because, you know, this safe space thing that, you know, it's a nonsense that to believe that some people deserve never to be offended their whole life.
Few topics have gotten Gervais more backlash than his jokes about transgenderism. He doesn't hold back, mocking the sensitivity around pronouns, dead naming, and gender identity. One of his most infamous moments came when he joked about Caitlyn Jenner's transition, pretending to be shocked that he was being criticized for acknowledging Jenner's past identity.
And if you sound mental, you're a bigot, right? Now, that's a bit hack, that joke, now, isn't it? Oh, I identify as a thing then, right? It's a bit old-fashioned, right? But I'm going to leave it in to annoy people, right? Because that's the bit that'll offend people. Same as humanity. I talk about AIDS, famine, cancer, the Holocaust, rape, paedophilia. But no, the one thing you mustn't joke about is identity politics.
In classic Gervais fashion, he sarcastically acted as if he had no idea why people were offended. He pointed out that Jenner had been a public figure long before transitioning and questioned why it was suddenly off-limits. The backlash was intense, but Gervais refused to apologize. His stance? If comedy can't joke about real-world topics, then it's lost its purpose.
The one thing you should never joke about is the trans issue, right? They just want to be treated equally. I agree. That's why I include them.
Another topic that Gervais skewers is cultural appropriation. He mocks the idea that sharing cultural elements is now considered offensive. He points out how, in the past, borrowing ideas from different cultures was seen as a good thing. But in today's woke world, it's suddenly a crime.
Cultural appropriation. Have you heard of that? Cultural appropriation, the latest no-no. Now, again, in my day, it was considered a good thing to swap ideas with other cultures, with other nations, to share things with other races, to assimilate. It was the opposite of racist. Now it's racist. Gwen Stefani got in trouble in her last video because she had her blonde hair in dreadlocks. People go, no, black people invented dreadlocks, you can't have them, you're white, that's racist. Jamie Oliver got in trouble when he put out authentic jerk chicken recipe. People go, no, black people invented that, you can't have it, you're white, that's racist. Now, black people, they use the N-word, don't they? We invented that.
He referenced how Gwen Stefani was criticized for wearing dreadlocks and how Jamie Oliver was attacked for making a jerk chicken recipe. The hypocrisy, he argued, is laughable. After all, if cultural exchange is problematic, then nobody should be allowed to enjoy anything outside their own background, including language, music, and fashion. The logic simply doesn't hold up.
Listen, I know white people are the worst. I know that. That's why no one likes a white middle-aged man anymore until we need a boiler fixing. That is, get the bald bloke round now. Critical race theory, have you heard of that? Being taught in schools now, particularly in trendy areas like LA, right? Just like 5-year-old kids and 6-year-old kids. If you haven't heard it, in a nutshell, critical race theory says that all white people are racist. We're born racist and we continue to be racist because we're affording the privilege of a racist society set up by our forefathers, okay? So basically, all white people are racist and there's nothing we can do about it.
Despite Hollywood's obsession with being woke, they made the mistake of letting Gervais host the Golden Globes multiple times. And every time, he used the platform to call out their hypocrisy. He reminded the crowd that many of them claim to care about social justice while working for billion-dollar corporations that exploit workers.
You'll be pleased to know this is the last time I'm hosting these awards, so I don't care anymore. I'm joking. I never did.
He mocked how celebrities love to give political speeches, yet they still fly in private jets and live in gated mansions. He also pointed out how selective Hollywood is when it comes to cancel culture. Kevin Hart was fired from the Oscars for old tweets, yet the same industry still honored figures with much worse accusations.
I mean, Kevin Hart was fired from the Oscars because of some offensive tweets. Hello? Lucky for me, the Hollywood foreign press can barely speak English.
Gervais made it clear that Hollywood's self-importance is dying. He pointed out how fewer people watch award shows, fewer people go to the movies, and more audiences are turning to streaming platforms instead. His brutal honesty about how irrelevant many films have become resonated with viewers.
I came here in a limo tonight and the license plate was made by Felicity Huffman. So, no, shush. It's her daughter I feel sorry for, okay? That must be the most embarrassing thing that's ever happened to her. And her dad was in Wild Hogs. So,
he joked that Netflix should have just won every award since most people only care about streaming now. He even referenced his own show, After Life, saying that its dark humor was still more enjoyable than sitting through a bloated, self-congratulatory awards ceremony.
No one cares about movies anymore. No one goes to the cinema. No one really watches network TV. Everyone's watching Netflix. This show should just be me coming out going, well done Netflix, you win everything, good night. But no, we've got to drag it out for 3 hours. You could binge watch the entire first season of Afterlife instead of watching this show. That's a show about a man who wants to kill himself because his wife dies of cancer, and it's still more fun than this.
Next, Gervais took aim at Hollywood, exposing the absurdity of their so-called activism. He pointed out how major companies like Apple, Amazon, and Disney love to lecture the world about morality while running sweatshops in China. The audience laughed, but the truth behind his words was undeniable. Hollywood elites live in a bubble, completely disconnected from the struggles of everyday people. Next, he reminded them that they weren't in any position to preach. Most of you spent less time in school than Greta Thunberg, he quipped. That line cut deep, highlighting how celebrities, who barely know anything beyond their scripts, somehow think they're qualified to lecture the public. He urged them to accept their awards, thank their agents, and move on.
If you do win an award tonight, don't use it as a platform to make a political speech, right? You're in no position to lecture the public about anything. You know nothing about the real world. Most of you spent less time in school than Greta Thunberg. So, if you win, right, come up, accept your little award, thank your agent and your God, and off, okay?
But he didn't stop there. He turned his focus on the hypocrisy of the entertainment industry itself. James Corden, who had just starred in Cats, became one of his targets. No one saw it, he joked, before reading a brutal review. This is the worst thing to happen to cats since dogs. The room erupted in laughter, but the message was clear. Hollywood is often detached from reality, creating content that no one even wants.
The world got to see James Corden as a fat pussy. He was also in the movie Cats, but no one saw that. And the reviews, oh, shocking. I saw one that said, this is the worst thing to happen to cats since dogs, right?
You won't believe what came next. Gervais brought up Leonardo DiCaprio, known for dating much younger women. He joked about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which was nearly 3 hours long. By the time it ended, he said, DiCaprio's date was too old for him. Even Prince Andrew, he added, would have told Leo to take it easy. It was a savage joke, but the audience knew it wasn't far from the truth.
It wasn't the only epic movie. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, nearly 3 hours long. Leonardo DiCaprio attended the premiere, and by the end, his date was too old for him. So... even Prince Andrew's like, come on, Leo, mate, you know.
Then, he went after politicians. He called them out for breaking their own rules while forcing the public to suffer. He talked about people not being able to visit their dying parents during the pandemic, while leaders partied like rock stars. They were acting like Charlie Sheen, he said. That was the moment everyone realized. This wasn't just comedy, it was a reality check. Gervais didn't just criticize politicians. He predicted something much worse was coming. He warned that the next pandemic wouldn't be a virus, but anxiety. He pointed out how teenagers lost some of the best years of their lives, stuck at home on Zoom. 3 years living at home doing things on Zoom, he said. That's not my idea of a college experience. He was right, and everyone knew it.
We were going to do an in memoriam this year, but when I saw the list of people that had died, it wasn't diverse enough. No. It was mostly white people, and I thought, nah, not on my watch.
Just when you thought he was done, he exposed an example of corruption in real time. He brought up Macron, the president of France, secretly taking off his $80,000 watch under the table while preaching about economic hardship. It was a moment that perfectly summed up everything wrong with those in power. One rule for them, another for everyone else.
It's already 3 hours long. Right, let's do the first award. The first award.
If there's one thing to take away from Ricky Gervais's comedy, it's that he isn't changing anytime soon. The more woke culture tries to police humor, the more he doubles down. His message is clear. Jokes aren't meant to be safe. They're meant to be funny.
It was a big year. It was a big year for paedophile movies. Surviving R. Kelly, Leaving Neverland, Two Popes. Shut up. Shut up. I don't care. I don't care. Many talented people of colour were snubbed in major categories. Unfortunately, there's nothing we can do about that. The Hollywood foreign press are all very, very racist. So...
no matter how many people get triggered, Gervais refuses to let political correctness dictate his comedy. And as long as audiences appreciate his unapologetic humor, he'll keep doing what he does best, mocking the absurdity of woke culture, one joke at a time. So, what do you think? Is Ricky Gervais simply telling the truth with humor, or is he crossing the line? Do you believe comedy should be completely unrestricted, or should there be limits? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoy content that challenges the status quo, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a video. See you in the next one.
But they know I'm joking about all the other stuff, but they go, no, he must mean that, right? Like a joke is a window to the comedian's true soul. That's just not the case. Or press, particularly the industry press in America, was like, why is he saying these awful things to the most beautiful people? You know, and then by the fifth time, right, they were going, good, give it to him, we're sick of celebrities.
In an age where everyone is too scared to air their opinions due to the fear of getting canceled by the woke left, Ricky Gervais has made it his sole purpose to demolish woke culture every chance he gets.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, well, that's the thing about offence, isn't it? When people say they're offended, it's that, just because you're offended, it doesn't mean you're right. Offence is about feelings, and feelings are personal. Some people are offended by equality. So what? You know, so you can't second-guess people. If you try and please everyone, you'll please no one. You can't legislate against stupidity, otherwise you'll be doing nothing. So if you're saying anything, you should polarize.
Ricky Gervais has been extremely clear on the fact that he has no intentions of being apologetic about his comments, and whether or not anyone takes offense to his statements, he is in no way going to allow that to be the reason he comes out to recant his words or comedic statements. In his views, comedy is a form of art and a craft, which should be given the creative freedom to explore every subject matter, and any attempt to try to censor this medium is a violation of free speech and artistic creativity.
Just looking at all the faces here reminds me of some of the great work that's been done this year by cosmetic surgeons. You all look great.
Ricky Gervais makes the entirety of Hollywood nervous and uneasy because he refuses to play by the rules. He uses his comedy in ways most people are too scared of doing, and this character has cemented him as one of the few voices with the guts to speak against Hollywood.
Here, in a room full of what I consider to be the most important people on the planet. Actors. They're just better than ordinary people, aren't they? We all know that. Imagine a world without actors. Oh, God, it doesn't bear thinking about it. Imagine if they ever went on strike.
Real quick, if you're enjoying this content and want more insights like this, hit subscribe and help us reach these topics to a wider audience. Thank you for the support. Now, let's jump back in. Ricky's complete and utter disregard for political correctness has made him a significant voice against woke culture and the various movements it propagates. Not to say that Ricky Gervais has not had his fair share of media backlash and calls for censorship. Despite all this, the award-winning comedian has remained adamant about his views and has blatantly refused to bend to the will and dictates of the leftist media, refusing to take the easy way out of swallowing his opinions and remaining quiet on his views.
Disgusting, pill-popping, sexual deviant scum. I want to do this monologue and then go into hiding, okay?
Over the years, Ricky has shown that when it comes to his comedy, no one is deemed off limits, not even the big names of Hollywood. Gervais's constant bashing of the lifestyle of Hollywood celebrities has been iconic in the fight for free speech, and he serves as a reminder of someone who went all out against Hollywood and got away with it.
Celebrities having the time of their lives. Let's hope no one spoils that. Yeah. Relax, I'm going to try and be nice. You're global megastars with amazing talent, most of you. A few of you just married.
The comedy legend has called out the Hollywood movement in countless interviews and comedy performances, earning him admiration from those who support the ideals of free speech. A lot of hate and backlash from Hollywood fans have actually been generated against Gervais. Still, despite the attempts at his censorship, Ricky Gervais continues to talk about the dirty secrets evident in Hollywood culture in the hilarious displays of comedic genius.
Not as much as Bruce Jenner, obviously. Now Caitlyn Jenner, of course. What a year she's had. She became a role model for trans people everywhere, showing great bravery in breaking down barriers and destroying stereotypes. She didn't do a lot for women drivers, but...
Ricky Gervais spares no one when it comes to woke culture, as he has tackled the extremely sensitive issues of illegal immigrants, which the woke left deemed too sacred even to have an opinion about. Still, to Ricky, his free speech rights are taken very seriously, and he doesn't hesitate to use his God-given rights. He has stood on business and has continued to air his views in a roller coaster of verbal beatdowns to the woke culture. During his period of hosting the Golden Globe Awards, Ricky showed just how much he cared for political correctness by how well he continuously threw jabs at Hollywood and the entire structure of the woke media. In Gervais's view, the woke media has no authority to dictate what people are allowed to hear or say.
You'll be pleased to know this is the last time I'm hosting these awards, so I don't care anymore. I'm joking. I never did.
In Gervais's view, a lot of celebrities have sold their voices in exchange for being labeled as politically correct by the woke media, and only a few like him have the guts to stand up against the speech policing and cancel culture of the woke media.
Perception a little bit last year that you were very good, but you didn't go for the jugular.
Oh, that's what I think. I think in retrospect, I think I held back a little bit. You know, I didn't want to offend anyone, but I didn't want to be totally well.
Gervais's iconic statement on offenses has gone on to become one of the most iconic quotes in the fight for free speech, where he was quoted saying, "Just because you were offended doesn't mean you are right." This statement proves that Ricky Gervais believes that no one has the right to dictate the speech of another person just because they find it offensive.
Things that we never did in the first place. Why are you applauding someone for suddenly acting like a normal member of society? It's like I've lost a bit of weight. I've lost about 20 pounds. Exactly. What? No. You're basically applauding me for only eating as much as I need now. I should have always been doing that. I got fat because I was a greedy, lazy bastard. There's no other explanation. And I needed people that they come to me now and they go, oh, well done, you look great. But they weren't telling me I looked terrible. They're basically saying I look terrible. No one told me at the time. It was really taboo. I needed waiters to come over and go, enough, right?
Ricky Gervais holds the opinion that Hollywood culture has made it taboo to make jokes about normal human behaviors just because a few people would find it offensive. In his views, Gervais believes he has no single obligation to conform to the principles of star worship ideologies, especially when it comes to comedy and Hollywood celebrities.
I'll tell you why. The president of the Hollywood Foreign Press just told me that if I say anything offensive or crass or resort to innuendo, he is going to come out here and personally pull me off. So that's an offer I couldn't refuse. Yes, that is the level. An old man pulling me off.
Ricky Gervais has become the dread of a lot of Hollywood celebrities who now have to stay alert for any performances of Gervais, as there is a chance he would be taking a jab at one Hollywood celebrity or the other.
Dressed as Adolf Hitler, right? No, wait, right? And I was going to come out there, I was just doing that, waving to them, right? And then get to the podium and let it die down and go, too much, right? And then I wanted to look in the crowd and go, it's the wrong crowd, it's just the wrong crowd. And then I was going to say, that's the last time I borrow a suit from Mel Gibson.
According to Gervais, comedy is the one tool that is allowed to touch on even the most controversial issues in society. And any group that wants to claim superiority over the free speech of others is completely dictatorial and should be watched.
They go, no, he must mean that, right? Like a joke is a window to the comedian's true soul. That's just not the case. I'll take on any view to make the joke funniest. I'll pretend to be right-wing. I'll pretend to be left-wing. I'll pretend to be clever. I'll pretend to be stupid. Whatever makes the joke funnier without prejudice.
Any comedian should give no community special treatment. In Gervais's view, if serious topics like the Holocaust can be joked about, then making jokes about transgender issues shouldn't be considered off limits or especially offensive. The only explanation is that the woke media has an intentional agenda to control free speech and dictate to everyone what they are allowed to hear or say. And this is one thing Gervais is very clear on standing against, as the rights of trans people shouldn't trump the free speech rights of other individuals.
Okay, full disclosure, in real life, of course I support trans rights. I support all human rights, and trans rights are human rights, you know? Live your best life, use your preferred pronouns, be the gender that you feel that you are. But meet me halfway, ladies, lose the cock. That's all I'm saying.
Ricky was amazed. Some women came up to him and compared fat people to gay people. Let's see what Ricky thinks about this.
There was a discussion about political correctness. My name came up straight away, right? And there was this woman on there going, oh yeah, well it's not right. Ricky Gervais, he makes jokes about fat people. He wouldn't make jokes about gay people, would he? And being fat is like being gay. What? No, it's not. What?
Gervais has completely demystified woke culture and has shown that no group should be allowed elevation above the rest when it comes to comedy because of the need to appear politically correct.
Call yourself a comedian, you're about as funny as a fart at a baby's funeral. He was trying to hurt my feelings. But his big mistake was choosing something that would be fucking hilarious. As if that would... A fart at a baby's funeral. Big echoey church. Everyone just silently sobbing like that. Tiny little coffin. And someone farts, you'd laugh. Even if it was your baby.
Gervais's handling of criticism and the backlash has made him an iconic stronghold against the woke culture. Every attempt at his cancellation has completely failed, as he has rendered the use of cancel culture useless against him, especially because of how consistent he has remained with his comments on woke ideology. Despite the continuous backlash from the woke left and the Hollywood media, Ricky Gervais has made it his duty to speak his mind on issues continuously.
That's the thing about offence, isn't it? When people say they're offended, it's that just because you're offended, it doesn't mean you're right, you know? Offence is about feelings, and feelings are personal. Some people are offended by equality. So what? You know, so you can't second-guess people. If you try and please everyone, you'll please no one.
On Gervais's comedy tours, he uses his sharp humor to challenge today's sensitive issues, tackling topics that others shy away from. He takes on what's considered offensive, defends the power of free speech, and shows how humor can challenge woke ideas. His bold approach makes him one of the most controversial voices in comedy today, with people either praising him for speaking the truth or criticizing him for going too far, being ignorant and manipulative.
Cultural appropriation, the latest no-no. Now, again, in my day, it was considered a good thing to swap ideas with other cultures, with other nations, to share things with other races, to assimilate. It was the opposite of racist. Now it's racist. Gwen Stefani got in trouble in her last video because she had her blonde hair in dreadlocks. People go, no, black people invented dreadlocks, you can't have them, you're white, that's racist. Jamie Oliver got in trouble when he put out authentic jerk chicken recipe. People go, no, black people invented that, you can't have it, you're white, that's racist. Now, black people, they use the N-word, don't they? We invented that.
Ricky Gervais nails the craziness of today's culture with funny jokes. He throws out bold comments meant to wake up a clueless generation and make them rethink their hypersensitivity. By pushing boundaries, Gervais wants people to see that comedy isn't about causing offense. It's a way to make us think and understand things better.
You can get sued in this country for saying someone's gay if they're not, you know, which is a homophobic law, because you can't be sued the other way around. You can't be sued for saying someone's not gay if they are, which seems unfair, doesn't it?
Ricky emphasizes the frightening unpredictability of woke culture. Something you say today might lead to being canceled years later, even if it was acceptable at that time. In this fast-moving woke culture, even the most harmless phrases will eventually be censored, and then no one is truly safe from backlash.
This cancel thing, being cancelled if you say the wrong thing, and suddenly, you know, Netflix can take you off their platform, or, you know, so that's the scary thing. But
how do you vet that then? How do you really go through your stuff, and who's going to be the arbiter?
Well, you can't, because you don't know. You could be the most woke, politically correct stand-up in the world at the moment, but you don't know what it's going to be like in 10 years' time. You can get cancelled for things you said 10 years ago because you don't know what it's going to be like in 10 years' time. I think
Gervais supports free speech and believes people should be able to criticize or choose not to watch something. But he draws the line at bullying others for choosing to watch or enjoy something they want, simply because they don't agree with it.
I think that the misunderstanding about cancel culture is, you know, some people think that you should be able to say anything you want without consequences, and that's not true, because we're members of society and people are allowed to criticise you. They're allowed to not buy your things, they're allowed to burn your DVDs, and they're allowed to turn the telly off. What they're not allowed to do is to bully other people into not going to see you.
Gervais believes that many in Hollywood mistakenly think they speak for the majority while addressing important issues. But he argues that they live in a bubble, pushing woke ideas that don't reflect what the majority of people think. Gervais sees this as a major problem, as it leads to cancel culture, with woke Hollywood trying to dictate what's acceptable or offensive for everyone. In his eyes, this is arrogant and a threat to free speech.
How arrogant are you to think that you deserve to go through life with no one ever saying anything that you don't agree with or like? I want people to stop saying that joke's offensive.
Yeah.
I want them to start saying I found it offensive, because you've got to own the emotion, because that's all it is. You're just telling me how you feel about it.
Yeah.
There's nothing intrinsically offensive about this joke.
Ricky says comedians like him are voicing significant truths. He argues that it takes courage to speak unpopular truths, especially in an environment where many feel pressured to conform to mainstream opinions. But Gervais is fearless when it comes to comedy, and fans love him for it. Gervais refuses to apologize for his statements, and instead chooses to ignore critics and the cancel culture. Gervais even said, "Who's gonna cancel me? Twitter, YouTube? If I have to, I'll go to Hyde Park and stand up on a bench and shout." It's obvious that Ricky isn't afraid to stand up for what he believes in, and it's crystal clear in his performances.
Oh, women. Not all women. I mean the old-fashioned ones. You know, the old-fashioned women. Oh, God. You know, the ones with wombs. Oh.
Many see Ricky Gervais as a genius, how he fearlessly takes on social issues with his sharp humor. But the woke crowd, they can't stand how he mocks their sacred topics and cancel him for doing so. At the same time, everyday citizens struggle to engage in respectful conversations without facing backlash. While comedians like Gervais have their show to provoke laughter and thought, many others feel unable to voice their opinions without fear of being canceled. Gervais has also pointed out that many celebrities believe they are in a position to control how others should think, simply because of their fame in singing or acting.
Hi guys, Ricky G here, wellness and beauty influencer. As a celebrity, I know all about stuff, like science and politics. So trust me when I tell you who you should vote for. If you don't vote the right way, that's like a hate crime, and it makes me sad and angry, and I'll leave the country. And you don't want that.
He's made it clear that just because someone can sing or act doesn't mean they should influence opinions on serious debates about society.
If you do win an award tonight, don't use it as a platform to make a political speech, right? You're in no position to lecture the public about anything. You know nothing about the real world. Most of you spent less time in school than Greta Thunberg.
Ricky Gervais' famous line, "Just because you're offended doesn't mean you're right," sums up his approach to comedy and free speech. He challenges people to understand that being offended is subjective and shouldn't control what's allowed in comedy. Many fans love his no-nonsense attitude and fearless truth-telling, believing that if more people shared his outlook, the world would be a better and more open place.
And the big controversy last time I did it was a Caitlyn Jenner joke, right? Oh, outrage on Twitter the next day. And by outrage, I mean a couple of people going, it was transphobic. It wasn't transphobic in the slightest. It was a joke about a trans person, but the joke had nothing to do with that aspect of her existence. And that's the other thing about offence. People get offended when they mistake the subject of a joke with the actual target, and they're not necessarily the same. I'll tell you the joke, you make your own minds up, right?
Gervais's unique perspective, where he remains acutely aware of the absurdities around him and refuses to let them go unnoticed.
Like, the worst thing you can say today, get you cancelled on Twitter, death threats, whatever, the worst thing you can say today is, women don't have penises, right?
Gervais also emphasizes another important point. He argues that while individuals cannot choose what offends them, they can decide how they react to it. He believes people have become too quick to react with outrage, instead of simply moving on or ignoring what bothers them. The real issue, in his view, isn't that people get offended. It's that they try to shut down anything that challenges or makes them uncomfortable. Gervais argues that we should learn to tolerate differing opinions, even when we don't agree. After all, comedy, like free speech, is meant to provoke thought, push boundaries, and yes, sometimes offend. That's the power of humor. And Gervais refuses to back down. He's not here to play it safe or tiptoe around the hypersensitivity of people. His message is simple. If we want a world where ideas and humor can thrive, we need to stop trying to cancel everything that offends us and start allowing all voices to be heard, even when it makes us uncomfortable.
I stand by the traffic lights and I wait for a big lorry to pull up, right? And I look underneath and there's a lad sort of clutching like that. And I go, where you headed? And he goes, Gary Lineker's house. I go, it's just down there.
Gervais' style of comedy focuses on what everyone is thinking, but is way too scared to talk about. The iconic Gervais doesn't shy away from even the most controversial issues, and he ensures he delivers his witty statements in the most off-putting but hilarious ways, leaving the audience both stunned and amused.
They know I'm joking about all the other stuff, but they go, no, he must mean that, right? Like a joke is a window to the comedian's true soul. That's just not the case. I'll take on any view to make the joke funniest.
In Ricky Gervais's view, it's more than okay to take on any view in order to get a message across and make a joke funny. The comedy legend has argued that the controversies around his comedy are baseless because they aren't a mirror of his true feelings. And everyone, regardless of who they may be in society, should be able to take jokes without getting offended.
I support all human rights, and trans rights are human rights, you know? Live your best life, use your preferred pronouns, be the gender that you feel that you are. But meet me halfway, ladies, lose the cock. That's all I'm saying.
Real quick, if you're enjoying this content and want more insights like this, hit subscribe and help us reach these topics to a wider audience. Thank you for the support. Now, let's jump back in. Ricky Gervais has made it extremely clear that he has no intentions of keeping his comedy away from trans issues. In his opinion, if they are part of society, then they should be ready to take a few jabs from his comedy. For someone who spent years calling out woke Hollywood and mainstream celebrities, Ricky Gervais has no problems with making jokes about those deemed untouchable by society.
I don't want any fat people to feel uncomfortable at one of my gigs, so next time buy 2 seats. I'm joking, I'm joking, shut up. I'm not having a go, I'm just pointing out, you know. I was listening to the radio in England.
Ricky Gervais is notorious for his constant attacks on all groups in society. Even fat people haven't been spared from his wrath. In his opinion, woke culture only rides on the emotional vulnerability of people. And if anyone finds a joke offensive, it has nothing to do with the joke, but a lot to do with the feelings of who hears it and gets offended by it.
There was a discussion about political correctness. My name came up straight away, right? And there was this woman on there going, oh yeah, well it's not right. Ricky Gervais, he makes jokes about fat people. He wouldn't make jokes about gay people, would he? And being fat is like being gay. What? No, it's not. What? You can't choose your sexuality.
Gervais views political correctness as an enigma that he has to work against constantly. The comedy genius has made it clear on several occasions of his absolute distaste for it, and his statements and jokes about highly political issues like illegal immigration have made him one of the most vocal personalities who has the guts to even talk about these things.
That we never did in the first place. Why are you applauding someone for suddenly acting like a normal member of society? It's like I've lost a bit of weight. I've lost about 20 pounds. Exactly. What? No. You're basically applauding me for only eating as much as I need now.
Throughout his career, Ricky Gervais has faced countless backlash and pushbacks because of his extremely provocative style of comedy. Instead of cowering on his views like most celebrities do, Gervais has somehow managed to revel in the buzz and propaganda surrounding his style of comedy. With each passing appearance, the comedy legend shows no signs of quitting this approach to comedy just because they find it offensive.
I got fat because I was a greedy, lazy bastard. There's no other explanation. And I needed people that they come to me now and they go, oh, well done, you look great. But they weren't telling me I looked terrible. They're basically saying I look terrible. No one told me at the time. It was really taboo. I needed waiters to come over and go, off, you've had enough.
Ricky Gervais believes that woke culture has made it taboo to joke about regular human behaviors that everyone usually jokes about in society. He views speech control and censorship as policing the rights to freedom of speech. And Gervais has made it clear that he is going to remain on business when it comes to saying whatever he wants.
Well, you say you're woke, but the companies you work for, I mean, unbelievable. Apple, Amazon, Disney. If ISIS started a streaming service, you'd call your agent, wouldn't you?
Gervais has been notorious for taking on the big names of Hollywood and woke culture. From an iconic Golden Globe career that lasted 10 years, in which the fascinating comedian destroyed countless Hollywood stars, Ricky Gervais, during the 77th annual Golden Globe Award, took on the major tech companies for their politically correct actions during the tail end of his monologue.
If you do win an award tonight, don't use it as a platform to make a political speech, right? You're in no position to lecture the public about anything. You know nothing about the real world. Most of you spent less time in school than Greta Thunberg. So, if you win, right, come up, accept your little award, thank your agent and your God.
Despite Ricky Gervais's delivery of these jokes, it was still considered a very bold move by members of the public. Many people in his position in society are too afraid to speak up on sensitive issues like this due to the fear of being canceled or called out. Cancel culture is an effective weapon in the arsenal of the woke media, and Gervais has even spoken on more sensitive issues like trans culture and the LGBTQ.
Oh, women. Not all women. I mean the old-fashioned ones. You know, the old-fashioned women. Oh, God. You know, the ones with wombs.
Gervais has made it very clear that he isn't going to shy away from telling jokes about trans people. According to him, there are a lot of funny things to be said about them. And if they want to be accepted and treated just like everyone else, then it should be okay to make jokes about them. No amount of campaigns for political correctness is going to change his mind.
I know the new women, they're great, aren't they? You know, the new ones we've been seeing lately, the ones with beards and they're as good as gold. I love them.
When asked about his feelings towards those who would find his jokes offensive, Ricky Gervais always made a point that offense is nothing else but a feeling that is completely individual and has no basis when it comes to comedy. Because, in his opinion, the art form of comedy is supposed to push boundaries and make light of sensitive issues. Getting offended by a joke is just unnecessary, according to the comedy genius.
Just because you're offended, it doesn't mean you're right, you know? It's... offence is about feelings, and feelings are personal. Some people are offended by equality. So what? You know, so you can't second-guess people. If you try and please everyone, you'll please no one. With comedy as well, I think you've got to deal with taboos.
Gervais's appearance in The View saw him go on a rampage of facts. He educated the host on the need for comedy to polarize, and on the idea that being intent on pleasing every listener will achieve nothing. Gervais made this point because he has made comedy on a vast range of topics. If every sect had the same approach to political correctness as the woke media, no one would take comedy seriously because absolutely nothing can be talked about in such a setting.
You know, you can't legislate against stupidity, otherwise you'll be doing nothing. So if you're saying anything, you should polarize. You should polarize because everyone's different.
Ricky Gervais has made it clear that he has no issues being called transphobic. Although, in his opinion, he only makes jokes about trans people because he respects them as part of society. This move has earned the iconic Gervais a lot of hate and backlash. Still, the legend only uses the media frenzy to his advantage, as he constantly makes more jokes about the woke community, regardless of the threats for his cancellation.
Oh, they want to use our toilets. Why shouldn't they use your toilets? For ladies. They are ladies. Look at their pronouns. What about this person that isn't a lady? Well, his penis. Her penis, you f***ing bigot.
The trans community is the most sensitive issue Ricky Gervais has spoken about. Even his comments on illegal immigration haven't brought as much backlash as this particular issue. But despite the obvious hate, Gervais still maintains his stand to continue talking about whatever he wants. This earned him a lot of respect from those who see the insanity in the whole ideology surrounding woke culture.
A Vietnamese Buddhist monk, as a protest against the Vietnam regime, went out into a public place, set himself alight and burnt to death. Did no good, because that's not a threat or a deterrent.
Ricky Gervais's comments on protesters also caused a lot of outrage, as many people saw it as an affront to the values of the protesters. Still, in Gervais's view, it's just another material for a comedy show, and his performances aren't to be taken as the true state of his mind on the issues that he addresses during his stand-up performance.
You better stop all those things you're doing, otherwise I'm going to set myself alight. You're going to set yourself alight.
Ricky Gervais has made it clear in his stand that he is completely out of the reach of political correctness. Despite the backlash and calls for his cancellation, the comedy icon has managed to elude every tactic used by the woke culture to see to his downfall. What do you think? Does Gervais's bold style remind us of the true role of comedy in challenging and entertaining society? Should comedians feel free to push these boundaries without fear of cancel culture? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more open discussions.